On the wedding day, my future mother-in-law pushed me, the bride, away and hugged my husband and cried heartbreakingly, "Son, I have raised you for more than 30 years, and today you are going to be snatched away by another woman." I looked at my husband in shock, but he said that mother and son have a deep love, and my mother just loves me too much. She is old, and you shouldn't be like her. At that time, I naively thought that the mother-in-law just missed her son too much, but I didn't expect that I would be completely doomed from then on. I had just woken up and was about to wash up, but I bumped into the sneaky mother-in-law. Obviously, my unexpected appearance scared her. The open makeup bag was overturned, and a lipstick was still tightly held in the palm of my mother-in-law's hand. Seeing my sharp eyes, she tentatively said, "Xiaoqin, what is this thing with foreign letters written on it? I have never seen it before." I didn't expose his embarrassment on the spot. I just said lightly, "Mom, it's just a lipstick. If you really like it, I'll buy one for you." The mother-in-law immediately put on a smiling face. Girls are more considerate than sons. The next day early in the morning, my husband opened the shopping app on his mobile phone and asked his mother, "Xiaoqin said you liked a 500 yuan lipstick. What color is it? Which lipstick costs 500 yuan? My mother-in-law hurriedly slapped my husband's payment phone and showed displeasure. "Son, you must be frugal in life. Mom gave birth to you in the morning and went to work in the afternoon. Only then did she save money to send you to college. If you spend money lavishly like you, how can you survive in the future?" When saying this, my mother-in-law did not forget to observe my reaction with her peripheral vision. My husband did not expect that when he bought something for my mother-in-law, he would have to listen to her old stories again. She muttered impatiently, "Mom, it was Xiaoqin who transferred money to me early in the morning and told me not to forget to buy you a lipstick. How could I, a grown man, understand all this?" I don't know if it was some words that touched the old people's hearts, but my mother-in-law's attitude suddenly changed 180 degrees. She hurriedly picked up the phone that she slapped and put it back into my husband's hand. "You should save money and spend money. Xiaoqin's heart is so kind to you, but you don't. Wo ai ni, 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 wo ai ni." My husband had been working away from home before, and had indeed neglected the family. Seeing the look on my mother-in-law's face, she immediately softened her heart. "Are you okay with having a child?" Xiaoqin and I discussed it again. After hearing my husband's agreement, my mother-in-law looked back every few steps and left the bedroom reluctantly. Before leaving, she did not forget to glare at me and said, "Xiaoqin, don't wear such a short nightgown in the future. It's not decent." I understand their deep mother-son love, but my mother-in-law first rummaged through my things and then forbade me to have a child. She even controlled what pajamas I wore offline. We've just gotten married and there are so many things going on. I don't know how much trouble will arise in the future. I stated my dissatisfaction straight out of the door. "Husband, your mother was obviously outside the bedroom just now, eavesdropping on our conversation. Don't you think she was being too much?" I didn't know where my husband got the nameless anger from, and he actually yelled at me. "What do you mean by eavesdropping? Why are you talking so harshly? What are you shouting? Am I wrong?" He wasn't eavesdropping outside, so why did he suddenly push the door open when we were talking about having a child and see that I was in a bad mood? Excited, my husband glanced at the door and gave in. "It's late at night. Let's not disturb Mom. I'm wrong, okay? Go to bed, honey. By the way, remember to transfer money to me tomorrow. It's time to pay off the mortgage this month." The bedroom light was turned off with a click. A slight snoring sound came from the pillow. I kicked him unwillingly and turned over. Just as I was about to fall asleep in a daze, I heard footsteps leaving outside the bedroom door. I shuddered and lost all my sleepiness. Could it be that my mother-in-law didn't leave just now and was still eavesdropping outside the door? After what happened in the past few days, I really felt that living under the same roof with my mother-in-law was very depressing. I simply made an appointment with my best friend to go shopping during the day. After hearing about my experience, my best friend advised me for a long time from the perspective of an experienced person, saying that any mother-in-law will be jealous of her daughter-in-law, so it's better to live separately. You have to be patient when you just get married, and you should remain unchanged in the face of all changes. Don't fall into the trap of your mother-in-law. Be careful that she will use this to provoke the relationship between husband and wife. Think so too. My mother-in-law will return to the countryside in a while. Why should I let these things ferment and affect myself? After thinking it over, I decided to endure it for the time being. When I got home at night, the whole living room was pitch black. I kept wondering if my mother-in-law had gone out as well. I wasn't familiar with the place, unlike him at home. I didn't want her to get lost again. So I quickly called my mother-in-law until a voice came from my bedroom. I pushed open the bedroom door in disbelief, and the scene I saw petrified me. My mother-in-law was wearing my pajamas, lying on my and my husband's wedding bed. The cell phone next to her was still dinging. The piercing ringtone was like a submachine gun firing at me. In an instant, all my rationality turned to dust, and I couldn't help howling until my head was almost out of oxygen. My mother-in-law was so scared by me that she rolled off the bed. My husband sprinted 100 meters in the kitchen and ran to me, asking, "What's wrong? What happened? We have to fight with our wits at this critical moment." In my mind, I remembered what my best friend had told me when we parted, to be as patient as possible when we can't give the enemy a fatal blow. I suppressed my anger in an instant. Tears welled up in my eyes and I crawled into my husband's arms. "Husband, I just saw Lee Kuan and his mistress being caught while shopping, and they were scared. Lee Kuan is a neighbor downstairs. Relying on his parents' business to make a little money. He is not a good student all day long. After getting married, he often can't control himself." Seeing my tearful appearance, my husband couldn't help but comfort me, saying it was nothing, don't be afraid. But the one he cheated on this time was an aunt in her 50s who was old enough to be his mother. What's wrong with people nowadays? At such an old age, why do they go to destroy other people's families? I hid in my husband's arms and took the opportunity to observe my mother-in-law's reaction. Sure enough, my mother-in-law's face was stiff, and her eyes looked away in panic. With this expression, I would never believe that he didn't have any tricks in his heart. I struck while the iron was hot and asked my husband, "You won't cheat on an old aunt in the future, right? What nonsense are you talking about? How could I change my mind?" After getting a positive answer from my husband, I started my first counterattack. At night, I made the bed in the master bedroom. I packed the single quilt and the pajamas that my mother-in-law had worn and put them in her side bedroom. Of course, there were also the pregnancy checkup reports of both my husband and me. I told him again and again that it's not that I couldn't see his little actions, but I chose to give him a chance. Whether to have a baby or not, and when to have it are our own business, and he has no right to interfere. If he can stop in time, I will pretend that nothing happened before. Strangely enough, in the next month, my mother-in-law was much more obedient. Just when I almost thought that I could send my mother-in-law back to her hometown next week as agreed, she quietly made a big move. Early in the morning of that day, my husband excitedly hugged me and spun me around 3 times, as if he had been injected with chicken blood. "Thank you, honey, I like this surprise so much." I didn't care about the dizziness in my head, and hurriedly asked what the surprise was and why I couldn't understand you. My husband carefully put me on the ground, took out a B ultrasound order, flicked my forehead and playfully played dumb with me, asking me if I had it's impossible. A bad thought flashed through my mind quickly. Where did you get the ultrasound report? My husband was confused. It was on the living room table. Isn't it yours? At this time, the mother-in-law came out from nowhere with a shy face, touching her thick waist. It's mine. Am I pregnant? When my husband and I closed our shocked mouths, the mother-in-law had already spoken and said, Son, haven't you always wanted a child? The one in my belly is your brother. The blood of your Gao family. After that, the mother-in-law looked in my direction and asked almost in an imperative tone, By the way, Mom is an elderly pregnant woman and cannot be separated from others. Can you let your daughter-in-law quit her job to take care of Mom? Otherwise, Mom always feels uneasy. The mother-in-law's words successfully caused my physical discomfort. A sour water went straight from my stomach to my head. Guy Zhe Xiaoqin, if you don't want to take care of Mom, just say it directly. You can't pretend if there's nothing in your belly. I saw the sanitary napkins you just used in the paper building yesterday. I guess your mother-in-law has always had them, secretly monitoring my every move. I tried to keep a little dignity on my face and refused. Mom, the house was loaned with the Provident Fund of Gao Liang and me, and Gao Liang's salary is not enough to cover the monthly mortgage. If I quit my job, we will need to adjust the repayment plan or provide another guarantee. After hearing what I said, my mother-in-law lay on the ground, slapped her legs and cried to my husband, Aunt Zhang next door in the countryside. She can't even get enough food, but she still raised 4 children, Zhaodi, Pundi, Liudi and Filong. You are my child, how honest you are, don't I know? Don't be selfish after getting married, and even don't want your mother, and your own brother. These words were all indirect criticism. I can't afford to offend you, but I can always avoid you. I moved to the dormitory of the unit with my bedding roll at night to avoid the evil pregnant belly of the mother-in-law to provoke the daughter-in-law to attack. My husband could only appease the mother-in-law first, and then do ideological work on me. There were only a few words back and forth saying that she was my mother, and the one in the belly was my brother. What can I do? Mom is doing it for our good. We children should be filial and understanding. At first I was indignant, but after I calmed down I didn't feel fortunate. So many outrageous things happened right after I got married. Maybe it was God who gave me the opportunity to see clearly whether the man I married had the ability to support a family. Soon I received a text message from my husband. Damn it, I have handled the matter properly. When will you move back home, wife? I breathed a sigh of relief, glad that I had not chosen the wrong person. How does the saying go? Extreme joy leads to sorrow. I found out the next day that what my husband meant by handling it properly was to arrange for hospitalization for my mother-in-law. Looking at the card swiping notification on my phone, I felt my heart bleeding. But in the current situation, bleeding is better than vomiting blood out of anger. At least out of sight, out of mind. Just consider it as spending money to buy peace of mind. Unfortunately, I still seriously underestimated my mother-in-law's attainments in performance art. That afternoon, I received a call from my husband. My mother-in-law attacked a police officer in the hospital. I asked for leave and rushed to the scene. I hurried over to the hospital and told them the truth. It turned out that with my mother-in-law's current physical condition, let alone giving birth, if the baby is delayed to full term, both the adults will be in danger of death. On the first day of pregnancy, the doctor had explained the seriousness of the matter very clearly. Not only did my husband fail to convince my mother-in-law, but at her instigation, he forced her to be hospitalized to protect the fetus. As a result, a lot of hospital fees were wasted. In the end, the doctor recommended an abortion. My mother-in-law refused to accept it. Seeing that she had spent so much money, she still had to abort. She demanded that the hospital refund her 3 times the previous hospital fees. In the stalemate, the hospital chose to call the police. During the scuffle, my mother-in-law got the strength from somewhere and scratched the police officer's arm, leaving several bloody marks. She was taken to the hospital for tea on the spot. I sneered and thought that the hospital had done a great job, and that my mother-in-law should be taught a lesson. As a result, the injured uncle in the hat was kind-hearted. Seeing my mother-in-law's physical condition, I chose to forgive her and sent her back that night. As soon as she left, my mother-in-law started cursing with anger on her face. Am I not fine now? She said that older mothers are in danger. She just wanted to cheat me out of money. It's all your fault. The mother-in-law suddenly poked my nose and cursed, asking you to quit your job and go home to take care of me and the baby in my belly, but you didn't want to. You black-hearted bitch, your conscience has been eaten by a dog. I have never seen such a shameless person. What kind of logic is this, Mom? My salary is also included in the hospital fees you spent. Besides, how can I pay the mortgage if I don't work? When I mentioned the house, my mother-in-law became proud in an instant. To tell you the truth, my son and I are on the property certificate. I didn't hear what the mother-in-law said afterwards. I only heard that the property certificate was in the names of the mother-in-law and Gao Liang. I turned my head mechanically and met my husband's evasive eyes. Is what Gao Liang's mother said true? When I paid the down payment, I was on a business trip and couldn't come back, so after transferring the money to Gao Liang, the subsequent procedures were he is leaving. Gao Liang and I have known each other for 10 years. Unless I hear him admit it himself, I will never believe that he would do this to me. At night, Gao Liang began to kneel on the bed and kept persuading me. Mom was emotional during pregnancy, so she would say things she didn't want to. You have never been a biological mother, so you definitely can't understand the old man's hard work. Didn't you pass the nutritionist and nursing certificate exams? It's just right for you to take care of Mom during the confinement period. Otherwise, how would a man like me understand these things? Wife, I promise you that when Mom is out of the confinement period, I will let you give birth. Anyway, it doesn't matter whether you take care of 1 or 2. If you take care of 2 children, our children will have a playmate. I really can't understand how his 37-degree mouth can spit out a -37-degree ice blade. I restrained all my emotions and asked directly. So, tell me the truth, whose name is on the real estate certificate? My husband's face suddenly turned gloomy. Xiaoqin, I never thought that you were such a materialistic person. You are still entangled with whose name is on the real estate certificate. You disappoint me so much. I stopped arguing. It's useless. That very night, I withdrew my expectations of Gao Liang and my leniency towards my mother-in-law, and silently sentenced this marriage to death in my heart. I want to protect myself, get out of this unscathed, and also let them get the punishment they deserve. In the following days, I tried my best to pretend to be obedient, agreed to take care of my mother-in-law's needs during her pregnancy, and lied that I had resigned. In fact, I just applied to the company for online office, because only in this way can they and their daughter think that I have no way out and am completely under their control. Only then will they relax their vigilance and completely reveal their fox tail. Sure enough, since I have been at home, my mother-in-law has been finding faults in various ways. For example, today she deliberately spit out a lychee pit, holding her round belly, and said dissatisfiedly, I eat tasteless meals every day. Xiaoqin, you won't secretly abuse me while Gao Liang is not at home, will you? As she spoke, she did not forget to glance at the corner of the ceiling. How come you are addicted to acting? You secretly installed a camera behind the ceiling, thinking that I didn't know. Take a deep breath. Angry, I still smile. Mom, why do you think so? What do you want to eat? I will take you out to eat. We can always order your favorite food when we go to a restaurant. After Gao Liang and I paid off the loan, our monthly living expenses were tight, and mother-in-law knew it, but even so, mother-in-law still had to eat 3 different styles of imported fruits every day. By the way, I should buy new clothes for this body and buy them. The answer is straightforward, and the main point is to meet all requests. Now it is mother-in-law's turn to be confused, because in the past, I would persuade my mother-in-law with a lot of excuses such as the family expenses are not enough and try to save as much as possible, and then mother-in-law would take the opportunity to complain to my husband. When she heard my husband fighting with me because of this, and even hitting me, she was so happy in the corner. Afterwards, my husband regretted being too impulsive, and would buy some small gifts for 9.9 yuan with free shipping to coax me to admit my mistakes. Every time this happened, mother-in-law would rush out to add fuel to the fire. Which woman doesn't eat a few pen buckets in her life? At that time I was pregnant with you and was beaten by your father. Everything is still fine now, but I chose to endure it all just because I want to pave a way for myself to retreat safely, and then tell my mother-in-law and husband why the flowers are so red. I deliberately chose the address for dinner near my husband's workplace. As expected, God help me, I just finished ordering the dishes when I ran into my husband and his colleagues, who came here for lunch. Gao Liang saw us and covered his face and wanted to slip away, but I didn't do as he wished. I waved my hand hard and my movements were conspicuous. My husband was here, so he had to bite the bullet and come over. After his eyes fell on my mother-in-law's belly, they bounced back instantly as if he had touched the plague. It turned out that he also knew that my mother-in-law's big belly was shameful. Gao Liang said in an unhappy tone, "Why are you here?" "Hubby, I brought mom here to eat. You see, I bought mom a lot of maternity clothes. Oh, and I also bought a lot of baby clothes, so that after my brother is born, we don't have to worry about being in a hurry and having no clothes to wear." I fluttered my innocent big eyes and explained the reason. As expected, his colleagues from the initial shock to the inability to hold back and whisper in front of each other. Gao Liang is 31 years old this year. His mother is over 60. She really worked hard to give birth to a younger brother for him. Now the policy of having 3 children has been relaxed and there is freedom of childbearing, but I don't know what his mother does for a living, whether she has a pension or our monthly salary of 3,000. Why did I hear Gao Liang say that his wife earns tens of thousands a month? She shouldn't be short of this little money. Good. Finally someone got to the point. I hurriedly looked at Gao Liang with grievance. "My husband, mom needed my personal care before. I listened to you and quit my job. I just bought fruits and clothes for mom, and I have overdrawn the only 2,000 remaining credit limit on your credit card. I'm afraid you have to pay for this meal." In a few words, Gao Liang's lies were successfully exposed. If he hadn't pretended to resign, how would I have had the opportunity to know? Gao Liang's previous gentleness and thoughtfulness were just to trick me into paying the mortgage with him. So I lied about resigning after he lost his value in the job. He would become unscrupulous and show his true colors. In front of his colleagues, his image of being well off would immediately collapse. Gao Liang's face turned pale and he asked Wawa angrily, "You spent all the money I earned in a month and even maxed out my credit card." As he spoke, he subconsciously raised his hand to hit me in the face. It was his fault that he got used to hitting me recently. The mother-in-law hurriedly stopped the furious Gao Liang. After looking around, she whispered to persuade him, "Son, don't be anxious. I will teach my daughter-in-law a lesson later if she is a spendthrift. There are so many people here you can't hit her. Only I know it well." The mother-in-law seemed to be begging for mercy for me, but in fact she wanted to put the hat of squandering on me. How could I let Gao Liang lose his temper so easily? After all, I had been waiting for this day for a long time. I raised my face and deliberately showed the pinch marks on my neck. Of course, in order to make it more obvious, I spent an hour putting on special effects makeup this morning. I shouted at Gao Liang, "Hit me if you can. I'd rather die than not. Anyway, you beat me up whenever you're not happy at home, and it's not the first time." Sure enough, with my loud shouts, more and more people came to watch. I continued to shout, "It was you who said that you wanted to have a baby as soon as possible, but your mother got pregnant and you didn't allow me to give birth. You asked me to quit my job and stay at home to take care of your mother during the childbirth. Your mother eats all kinds of imported fruits every day, and one meal has 10 dishes and one soup, never the same. You said I don't work, so where does all this money come from?" During this period, Gao Liang was busy working overtime and never paid attention to my mother-in-law's diet and daily life. After hearing what I said, he suddenly turned around and asked my mother-in-law, "What he said is true." A trace of panic flashed in my mother-in-law's eyes, and then she avoided the important and did the trivial. "Pull my arm." "Okay, Shaoqin, don't affect Gao Liang's work here. Let's deal with our own private affairs behind closed doors. I don't want to say it here, everyone give me some judgment." I deliberately wore loose clothes today, lifted both arms, revealing a patch of blue and red skin, and sure enough, someone in the group gasped, and soon many sympathetic eyes gathered on me. I was scared. I was scared that I would go back alive but not come out alive. I dug my nails into my palms and continued to sob and cry, accusing, "When we got married, you said it wasn't easy for your mother to raise you alone, so not only did I not ask for a dowry, I also paid the down payment for the house with you. And you put your and your mother's names on the house, leaving me at home as a full-time nanny and the whole family's punching bag. You said I was spending money recklessly, but 80% of the down payment was paid by me. I can show you proof of bank statements, but can you show you proof that I was wasting your money? Some enthusiastic people in the crowd couldn't stand it anymore and shouted, I've seen people who eat gigolos, but I've never seen people who eat gigolos for free. They're really not good enough. I've heard of mothers-in-law serving their daughters-in-law during confinement, but this is the first time I've seen a daughter-in-law serving her mother-in-law during confinement. It's really against the will of heaven. Why doesn't anyone care? Who is the father of the child in this belly? I heard the crowd. You're not the one who has to live with me. I'm not the one who has to live with me. I'm not the one who has to live with me. I'm not the one who has to live with me. I'm not the one who has to live with me. I'm not the one who has to live with me. I'm not the one who has to live with me. I'm not the one who has to live with me. I'm not the one who has to live with me. I'm not the one who has to live with me. I'm not the one who has to live with me. I was taking care of it and now you are hiding. What's the meaning? What's the meaning of having someone like you serve others? A gambling father, a pregnant mother, a younger brother in the womb, a broken home. Gao Liang, what qualifications do you think you have to shout in front of me now? Even through the screen, I can imagine the gnashing of teeth on the face of the man opposite. It's really gratifying. Obviously, the other party has not given up and used his trump card. Don't forget, you are unemployed now and you still have a loan. You can't hold on for long. If you hadn't said it, I almost forgot. What does your and your mother's house have to do with me? At this point, a smug laugh came from the other end of the phone. What does it have to do with you? Li Qin, don't forget, although your name is not on the house title, you are one of the co-borrowers. See, I knew it. I didn't underestimate the bottom line of them. Sure enough, they still want to use the house to tie me to death. Okay, then we'll see you in court. The next morning, I was awakened by a call from my bestie. Oh, my aunt, why are you still sleeping? What's going on? Do you know that your husband and his mother have started a live broadcast to attack you online? I quickly opened the live broadcast and sure enough, the first one pushed was Zhang Liang's live broadcast room. The mother-in-law's eyes were red, and Zhang Liang looked haggard. Together, they tearfully accused me of all my evil deeds, such as abusing her at home, making her eat rotten fruit, sending her to the hospital to force her, abortion and so on. In the live broadcast room, the spectators who didn't know the truth were scolding me, and there were also people who sympathized with the mother and son and kept giving them gifts. Zhang Liang looked at the waves of gifts with shining eyes, and worked harder to fabricate his own miserable situation. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for the gifts. My wife ran away and I lost my job. If it weren't for you, I really don't know how to live. It was you who made me know that there is true love in the world. Her selling of misery was really useful. The gifts in the live broadcast room were given more frequently, and the mother-in-law became excited when she saw this. There are still many good people in the world, and the child in my belly also has a gift from you. From now on, you will they are the child's adoptive parents. I looked at the grand occasion in the live broadcast room, and I coldly typed out, you are so confusing right and wrong. Are you afraid that there will be no reversal one day? Sure enough, my speech was soon seen by a kind-hearted person. That person must be a computer expert. My relevant information was soon dug out and posted on the internet. Everyone, please go to my homepage to see. I found his wife's personal information. Oh, and there is also the company where Gao Liang works. Unscrupulous companies have no humanity and dismiss the victim. Everyone should avoid it. Later, I also tagged that company. Seeing the kind-hearted help, Gao Liang's face changed. He wanted to change the subject, but everyone on the screen was discussing which company it was. No one took up his words. Soon someone spoke up. I work in the human resources department of this company. I haven't heard of any employee dismissal recently. I also work in this company. I seem to have seen this man before. Is he the one whose wife made a scene in the restaurant last time? It seems that this man was domestic violence. There is not a single good spot on my body when my wife is beaten. Hi, family members, don't be fooled by this man. I work in that restaurant. I have the video of that day. Family members, please go to my homepage to watch the full video of the domestic violence man. Gao Liang originally wanted to create public opinion to force me to show up, but he didn't expect to shoot himself in the foot. This time he was asked for a hammer. The company fired him as he wished. Although he lost his job, the bank doesn't care whether you have income or not. The monthly mortgage must be repaid without fail. In the past, I would pay him the full amount the day before deducting the mortgage, but after deducting gas, smoking and socializing, there was not much left from his salary. My mother-in-law's appetite had been spoiled by me a long time ago, and Gao Liang couldn't cook, so she could only order a few more takeouts for each meal. The old woman still complained that the food was not delicious and was picky. Gao Liang finally couldn't hold on any longer and called me to make peace. This time her tone was no longer arrogant, but a little more pleading. Wife, how long are you going to make trouble? Seeing me and my mother you've come to this point, doesn't your conscience hurt? The child in mom's belly is also your brother. You don't have a job now, but you can still have a hot meal at home. Why bother to be angry with me? I admit that I've been a little irritable recently, but I don't do it every day. It happens every now and then. Can't you be more tolerant? I smiled at myself for meeting the wrong person, and even more at myself for actually thinking of giving a small punishment and a stern warning. Let it go and let them go. I said sarcastically, Gao Liang, if you have time to worry about whether I have hot meals, you might as well worry about your brother's life experience. What are you planning? I know it very well. I'm afraid you don't know the planning of this stepfather your mom found for you. My mother-in-law was suddenly hit in the sore spot by me, and she started cursing. You little slut, you're talking nonsense. Come here and I'll tear your mouth apart. I said I didn't ask him, but you insisted on humiliating yourself. Tell me whose child this is? Is this the attitude you talk to your mother? I'm not going to live anymore. I couldn't live like this anymore. I hung up the phone because I was not interested in listening to their dog-eat-dog fight. Soon the court hearing came. I submitted all the videos and photos of Gao Liang abusing me, as well as the medical examination report. The divorce went more smoothly than I expected. The only thing left was to get back the property that belonged to me. Gao Liang was smart enough to sign the contract before the marriage certificate was obtained, thinking that he could get hundreds of thousands of dollars from me for free and exchange it for their house. He also wanted me to work like a slave and repay the mortgage with him. There is no such a cheap thing in the world. I agreed to repay the mortgage with him, but I had already stopped paying the Provident Fund. Anyway, my name was not on the house title, and I didn't care about the ownership of the house. I had no objection even if the house was auctioned. However, 200,000 yuan of the down payment was mine, and it was transferred before the marriage. The down payment for the house was noted when the transfer was made. At the court hearing, my ex-husband had swollen eyes and a scruffy beard, looking like a defeated rooster. Instead, my ex-mother-in-law refused to agree. She was unforgiving and seized every opportunity to curse at me. You a black-hearted bitch are so selfish. My son deserves it. Your name won't be added to the house deed. I only have one woman and can change her at any time. You just can't compare to me. You are madly jealous of my position in my son's heart. My son also stands on my side. Bah, the lawyer who represented me in the lawsuit shook his head helplessly and patted my shoulder. I finally understand now why you want a divorce even at the cost of hurting yourself. I shrugged. It's the price I pay for not knowing people well. Fortunately, with your help, I'm out of misery. Granny Qian was still yelling and cursing, not realizing that her body was being cursed by her passion and anger, causing an emergency until someone in the crowd kindly reminded her. A friendly reminder that her water broke and she was about to give birth. She was about to give birth. There was a panic at the scene with shouts and screams, and the sound of an ambulance rushing. Gao Liang's phone kept ringing at this time, and she hung up irritably, but the other party changed again. The phone number called in. Hello, I have no money. I've told you so many times that I have no money. How about you take my life instead? Now you know it hurts. What did the doctor advise you at the beginning? You just want to be resentful. Just bear it if it hurts. Looking at the scene in front of me, my heart was calm. Originally, I planned to divorce directly and not pursue the money for the down payment. After all, we have been husband and wife, so I should just treat it as charity. But I never expected that Gao Liang would be so cruel. Last night, I was stopped by a dozen thugs in the corner of the community. Just when they were about to attack, my lawyer met me and saved me. Under the forced legal education and intimidation of the lawyer, the thugs confessed everything. It turned out that Gao Liang gave them money to find me, and then took a video and sent it to him. He was going to use the video to threaten me to stop suing for divorce and continue to go home to serve him and his mother. If I didn't agree, he would post my video on the internet and ruin my reputation. If I hadn't made an appointment with the lawyer to verify the information, I'm afraid that I'm suffering from threats and insults from that beast at this moment. In that case, why should I show mercy? Watching Gao Liang and his mother leave in the ambulance, I slowly dialed a number. That was the contact information of Grandpa Qian that I asked someone to find. Gao Liang said that his father was idle when he was young and loved drinking. He would beat his mother when he was drunk. Later, his mother couldn't stand it anymore. So with the help of kind people, she took him away secretly. From the first day of my mother-in-law's pregnancy, I began to pay attention to which strange men he had contact with. God will not let down those who work hard. After a week of investigation, I found out that the kind-hearted person who helped my mother-in-law run away secretly was Lao Wang, who lived next door to my mother-in-law's hometown. Lao Wang's family was poor, and he never remarried after his wife ran away with someone. After he ran away with my mother-in-law, the two of them actually fled to the same place and became neighbors again. Later, after Gao Liang and I got married, Lao Wang followed here. Not only did he rent a house in this city, but he also it just so happens that we live in the same residential complex. How could there be such a coincidence in this world? Some time ago, I had been secretly observing the movements of my mother-in-law, and sure enough, she had been secretly communicating with Lao Wang. As far as I know, my mother-in-law ran away secretly and did not register for divorce. That is to say, she and the husband who abused her are still in a marital relationship. I pretended to be a staff member and anxiously informed the father-in-law Qian, whom I had never met, that your wife is having a delivery operation in the hospital and you need to sign. Yes, Ward 302. Imagine a gambler with no income, who suddenly found out that his wife and son bought a house in the city, and his wife also colluded with Lao Wang next door to frame him. What would he do? Evildoers will be punished by their own evildoers. Every day in the future, you will understand more deeply why the flowers are so red. Your gambling father, your pregnant mother, your half-brother, your broken home, and Lao Wang next door who is trying to take advantage of the situation. All this is your fault. Take the full text at your own convenience.